I wanted to play this clip because I found it kind of moving. Christian Smalls was at a celebration for Stephen Donziger the other night, who was released after 993 days under, in my view, wrongful detention. And Christian Smalls spoke. Let's hear what he had to say.
When I realized how divided the country was and how these movements are divided, I realized the bigger picture. That's what they want us to be. That's what the billionaires want us to be, divided. They're reaping our benefits. They're reaping our labor. They're destroying our lives. They're killing us. They're firing us. They're destroying the Amazon, the real Amazon. They're building more Amazons. You know, that's what we saw. And they increased their profits. But fast forward to now. Because guess what? Right now, we in the revolution. You said it again. Right now, we in the revolution.
So why that stood out to me was, I don't know if you've noticed, but I don't know, the progressive movement, workers, it's been basically a food fight for 2 years, and, you know, a lot of fighting. And this is not just the progressive movement. I've seen this in environmental movements after long battles. Friction develops, divide and conquer. Frankly, the government has infiltrated movements for decades, with dividing and conquering. But what are your thoughts? Because to me, I see so much bickering on the left. This side cancels this side because some of them vote for Democrats sometimes. This side cancels this side because they're only doing third party. This side is not good with this side because this side's saying, screw voting. We're only going to focus on direct action. And my thought is, why does it have to be either or? Why don't we just come together? We might not agree on every strategy, but we could all factions, be involved with this.
I think it is important to build as much unity as possible, like you correctly said, on the things that we do agree on. And in fact, one of the reasons that when union struggles succeed, that they will succeed, is precisely because they were able to build unity on concrete issues. They're not demanding that every worker agree with another worker on everything, every political question, because such a thing cannot exist. So in that sense, I agree with you. I think, though, that we have to sort of look at a few different aspects of what you brought up. One is that for the left, and inside the socialist left, but also on the left as a whole, it is crucial for us to have an ongoing discussion and debate on political ideas, on strategy and tactics. And it's important that that discussion and debate is honest, where we put our ideas on the table. I mean, a socialist alternative, whether you agree with every single point we say or not, I think you will notice that we take seriously this kind of comradely, friendly approach to debates. But we don't agree with the idea of, well, let's all get along, because if we bring up differences, that's bickering. We don't actually agree with that, because if we start sort of artificially trying to get agreement or not talk about differences, then what happens is that the ideas that are already established and have the most traction with the existing ruling class, those are the ideas that come to the fore. So, for example, if I don't continually, as a socialist, challenge the idea of continuing to support the Democratic Party, then you could think of it as me continuing to raise a difference. And why should I raise that? Why does it matter how people vote? Well, it does matter, because as long as the Democratic Party remains a stranglehold on the consciousness of working people, we will not be able to make the kind of breakthroughs we need. Similarly, with business unionism, if we didn't have the courage to challenge labor leaders, and I've been berated by many conservative labor leaders and many Democratic Party supporting labor leaders. In fact, sections of the labor leadership actually supported the recall against me. So yes, it has been tense, but it's not tense because it's a personality conflict or because we don't know when to stop fighting or anything like that. Those conflicts exist because those are differences in very serious political questions. So whether or not to support the Democratic Party is a serious question. Whether or not to have a class struggle approach on on building the union movement? That is a serious question, and that is something we should be fighting for. But we have to have the example of having that kind of debate where we are, we are correctly putting the thrust of what we're saying on leadership and not so much on ordinary people who want to actually fight for something. So the other aspect of what I didn't talk about just now is about rank and file workers. So in other words, if we have a movement that understands, a leadership that understands that there's a whole host of concrete demands, that we could actually unite both people who are on the sidelines, not voting at all, the people who vote Democrat, people who vote independent, and people who voted for Trump even. Just to give you a concrete example, couple of concrete examples. Bernie Sanders, when he brought up his campaign platform again and again, when the two times he ran, he was able to unite a whole section, massive section of the American working class. And that included everyone from socialists like myself, I spoke at his rallies, to people who ended up voting for Trump because Bernie Sanders was not an option in the general election. And why did that kind of unity happen? Because his campaign program of demands was very much the kind of program that will unite the working class. It's not going to unite them on every issue, but it will unite them on wages, healthcare, Medicare for all, ending student debt by taxing Wall Street. These are things that the mass of the population wants to have, but instead what you have, led by the Democratic Party and unfortunately by a big section of the labor leadership, is a very identity politics kind of agenda where you are immediately canceled or rejected because you are a white working class person. That approach we don't agree with at all. That doesn't mean that we don't hold a very strong line against sexism, racism, and homophobia. We absolutely have to fight against those things. But the best chance we have of fighting against specific oppressions is to actually win over working class people on a class basis. I mean, last autumn, the union carpenters in the Pacific Northwest went on strike, and my office and Socialist Alternative was one of the few forces that was supporting them against the opposition of their own leadership that was selling the members out. It was shameful. And I'll never forget, at the press conference that we did, we had a two-time Trump voting carpenter stand alongside me and shake my hand, saying, I never thought I would shake the hands of a socialist, but I'm seeing that there's potential to unite working class people. That's the basis on which we need to unite people. And in fact, if we don't, the danger of a further rise of right populism, and in fact, even a Trump presidency, is very much on the cards. And that is, all of this is a reason for why Biden and the Democrats are going to get crushed in the midterms, because they have not delivered on a single issue that actually would have a huge potential for uniting. And let me just say this, sorry, but this is important to mention. Even with issues related to specific, sections of our society, actually, identity politics is not the right way to go, because look at the support for Roe v. Wade. I mean, Roe v. Wade is actually, in a real sense, on the chopping block right now. But yet, if you look at the polls, 2/3 of Americans support it. How is this happening? How is this disconnect happening? That chasm is only explained by the failures of the Democratic Party to fight on any issue that matters for working people, and that vacuum has been seized upon by the right.
I am going to be on the ground in Cleveland starting this weekend, covering Nina Turner's congressional race. The election is on Tuesday. I will be there starting Saturday or Sunday. I'm driving there, so it's a bit of a distance. So definitely, if you have not yet, please sign up as a Status Coup member. We, as far as I know, are the only independent outlet consistently on the ground. It costs money. Let me repeat, it costs money to keep doing this. In this case, gas, because I'm driving there, hotel, food. Colin had to go get more equipment because we always need more equipment. It all costs money. And obviously, we want to grow to hire other people. So if it's within your means, statuscoup.com/join. You can become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. As a member, you get access to our monthly Zoom call, which is on Zoom. We talk questions, comments, concerns. You get access to our Discord for members, and we do behind the scenes videos when we're on the road too.